when they achieved victory in April '75, they felt they were in a position to put in place and to carry out an extreme, pure, total revolution of a sort that was more extreme, more total, purer than any other revolution in history.
When Pol Pot and his army arrived in Phnom Penh, they immediately evacuated the entire population into the countryside. In what would be known as Year Zero, Pol Pot began to destroy and rip up Cambodian society, reducing it to a state of primitive barbarity.
It was very frantic, it was very chaotic, very scary. They just screamed and screamed into the bullhorn that said we had to leave. 2 million Cambodians living in Phnom Penh were evacuated in 72 hours.
It's the take the basket and dump it upside down theory. You broke up every organization that anybody ever had. They were cut from their family, they were cut from their friends, they were cut from their professions, everything.
Believing the city people to be contaminated by their past lives, Pol Pot would rewrite their histories. Money was banned, the Buddhist religion outlawed, and the country's name changed to Kampuchea. Then he dispersed the city people to peasant villages throughout Cambodia, where they would grow rice and build dams for the revolution. Here, in this idealized peasant state, he would purify them through hard labor and brutality.
They did regard the city population as enemies, but mixed with that was a strong ethnic belief that the peasants were the real Cambodians.
We were from day one, because of our skin color, we're targeted. Lighter skin meant that you probably came from a more corrupt class. Darker skins were good because it meant you worked in the field. It meant you worked to grow rice to support the revolution.
Little more than nameless, faceless slaves, the city people would literally be worked to death.
You work 12 to 16 to 18 hours, working in the field, growing rice, harvesting rice, building dams.
There's a lot of people do a lot of harsh work. I mean, people work. They work you until you drop dead.
The Khmer Rouge slogan that time was to keep you was no gain and to destroy you was no loss. So we knew that human life was cheap and that if we did not produce, we would be killed.
Fear and the threat of arbitrary, casual death was everywhere.
At one point, I remember just working, and then they just walk up and just shoot the person in the head. You know, the guy just walk up and go boom.
In fact, most of Pol Pot's victims were killed not by bullets, but beaten to death with blunt instruments.
We still didn't know who Pol Pot was. We didn't know what kind of a man he was. We didn't know what he looked like. And I remember just hearing all these accolades and praise about this mighty person, this strong person, this person who loved us, this person who wanted to bring our country back to its glory days.
In Pol Pot's peasant utopia, starvation claimed most lives. The huge influx of city people into the rural areas meant there was not enough rice to feed them. Even the peasants themselves began to starve.
And indeed, rice was withdrawn and exported by the party centre while these people were dying in massive numbers of starvation.
Life wasn't even cheap to Pol Pot. It had no value at all. Cambodia became a macabre network of killing fields. Even today, the exact number of mass graves into which the victims' bodies were thrown is not known.
You know, Pol Pot was a remarkable man. He was generous, he was kind, he was loving, almost grandfatherly. He had all of the characteristics of a great leader. There are a lot of Cambodians who don't believe that what happened under Pol Pot, in fact, was his doing, because he was too good a man. Pol Pot believes that what he did for the good of his country.